Hey guys, this is God of Politics and welcome back to a brand new video. But before we get started with this video, please like this video and subscribe to the channel. Also follow me on Twitter, that is linked down in the description, and also on my YouTube channel page right up here. And join the Discord, that is also linked down in the description. But today's video, I'm going to be doing my Senate election prediction for the month of May. Now again, I have to point this out again. This is my prediction, not my current battleground map, not the current state of the races. Those videos will be out next week. Yesterday I did my prediction for the presidential race, how I'm predicting things are going to be by November, but I will also be doing the state of the race right now. If the election were held today, how would these states go? I'm going to make two separate videos of that for the presidential race and the Senate race and the House race as well. So we're going to be doing that for all three of those just to differentiate. Will the Democrats gain come November? Will they lose for come November? But this election prediction today for the Senate is going to be the prediction for November, how I think things are going to be going come November. And yeah, so we're just going to be going through these states to do the safe states as always. Idaho, safe state, Wyoming, South Dakota, Nebraska, Oklahoma, Arkansas, Alaska, Louisiana, Mississippi, Tennessee, South Carolina, West Virginia. So that puts the Republicans at 42 safe states. As you can see, there are some states that might be surprising to you that are safe states, some that might be surprising to you that aren't safe states, like Kentucky or Alabama even. But states like South Carolina could be moved into the likely column. States like West Virginia could be moved into the likely column, as hard as that sounds to believe. Even states like Mississippi, with Mike Espy running again against Sidney Highsmith, a rematch of the last election. And so, as of now, my prediction is that they're going to be safe margins, but that could easily change, and you'll see it when I do these month by month. So those are the safe states for the Republicans. That's 42 safe states they are at. And then for the Democrats, Oregon with Jeff Merkley will be safe. New Mexico, it is an open seat, but I do feel like the Democrats, they won by 8 points in 2016 with Hillary Clinton, who obviously had a lot of baggage. And unless the Republicans can get a good candidate, Democrats are going to get a pretty big victory here, considering the fact that they won by 8 percentage points, and they also had a lot of Gary Johnson votes who went from Democrat to Gary Johnson because they turned Democratic after Gary Johnson had left, as he was a Republican. A lot of those voters who became Democratic then voted for Gary Johnson. Those will vote for Democrats now, and I feel like it'll be the same thing in the Senate race, and as long as Republicans can't get a good candidate, that's going to be a safe state. The next one is going to be Illinois. I think Illinois will also be a safe state. That's pretty obvious. I also think Virginia will be a safe state with Mark Warner. I think he's going to pull away because Republicans won't really have a good candidate. Republicans really won't put much money into this state either. And so that'll be a safe margin, as well as Delaware, New Jersey, Rhode Island, and Massachusetts. Those are all the safe states. Actually, yeah, those are all the safe states for now. So that puts the Republicans at 42 safe states and Democrats at 43 safe states. So Democrats have a slight edge in terms of the number of solid seats they're going to be getting. But as you see when we do the likely states right now, then the lean states and the tilt states, you see that it might look a little bit better for Republicans. So first off with the likely margins, John Cornyn in Texas won by a likely margin. You don't really have a Beto type candidate here that can garner enough support to be able to make this state very close. And so I think that John Cornyn will win by a likely margin, probably around 2 points more than Donald Trump, maybe around 8 to 9 percentage points. We'll see. As well as Alabama with Doug Jones, either going to be Jeff Sessions or Tommy Tuberville. I think either way, they're going to flip it by a likely margin, if not a safe margin. Doug Jones got less votes than Hillary Clinton, and it is Alabama, so I do think that the state is going to flip to the Republican column by a likely margin. Same thing with the Georgia non-special election here is also going to flip here, and the Republicans are going to get a pretty big victory here in a state that is trending to the right column. And the fact that there is a special election here, David Perdue in the non-special election, probably going to be Doug Collins or Kelly Loeffler in the special election, could make it closer. But for the likely margin, David Perdue will win by a likely margin in the state of Georgia, as well as the state of Kentucky. Mitch McConnell is going off against Amy McGrath, who's not really a good candidate for this race. She couldn't even win her congressional district, but again, Andy Beshear did win the governor's race, and state elections are different than the national elections, so that'll lose Democrats a lot of support, as well as a presidential year. But Mitch McConnell is still unpopular, so that'll lose him some votes. Some people go from Amy McGrath to Donald Trump, and so Kentucky will be likely red, if not safe red at this point. And then for the Democrats, the likely states are going to be Minnesota with Tina Smith. She won by 9 points in an open election where the Republican candidate wasn't too good, but it was an open election still. And I think that now she has the incumbency factor. And she's not as popular as Amy Klobuchar, but she is still from the state of Minnesota, and she is still going to win by a likely margin, I think, unless Republicans can get a pretty good candidate, as well as the state of New Hampshire. Republicans don't really have a candidate here that can go against Jeanne Shaheen in the state of New Hampshire, and so I do think that that is going to be a likely margin, if not a safe margin, from the state of New Hampshire. Similar to how the governor, Chris Sununu of New Hampshire, is pretty popular here. I do think that she will win the race by a likely margin here. And then that is all the likely margin states. So Republicans are at 46 with a slight edge over the Democrats at 45. They had a number of states where likely margins: Texas, Alabama, Georgia, Kentucky. Democrats only had Minnesota and New Hampshire. So now we're going to go to the lean margin states here. First, I think that the state of Montana is going to be a state that goes by a lean margin. You do have the current incumbent governor, Steve Bullock, from the state of Montana, who is running for the Senate seat, and there was an internal poll that showed it pretty close at this point, but I do think that it is going to stay around a lean margin come November with the Republican senator here, and so Steve Daines, and so I think that he will end up winning by a lean margin from what I can see right now. Same thing with Joni Ernst. Democrats really don't have that good of a candidate here, but again, Joni Ernst is not the most popular person compared to Donald Trump in the state of Iowa, and so if Democrats can get a good candidate, they can bring it closer than this, but for now, I'll put it at a lean margin. The next state is going to be the state of Michigan here. Michigan is a state in which you have John James, who is already well known in the state. He ran the Senate campaign in 2018 before, and he lost by 7 percentage points, and he's down in the polls big already, going against a pretty much not very well known incumbent, and it will be a closer race than people anticipate it to be, but I do think that it is going to be a lean margin, and the Democratic candidate is going to basically cruise to victory. Gary Peters, he is going to get a pretty comfortable win over John James, despite the fact that it will be a competitive race in the presidential race, in which I do think that Donald Trump will probably end up losing anyway. And so the next state that is going to be going by a lean margin is the state of Georgia, the special election here. Now, Georgia is a state in which it has been trending blue, and you do have Doug Collins versus Kelly Loeffler here. If Kelly Loeffler is the nominee, I think that this could get even closer because of her whole scandal with the insider trading. The fact she's never actually been elected, whereas you have Doug Collins going for the seat here in which he's been a congressman for a while. He's a very well-known Republican in the state, and he can kind of buck the trends in the Atlanta suburbs, those kinds of areas. So I think that if Doug Collins is the nominee, it may be a lean to likely margin, whereas if Kelly Loeffler is the nominee, it could be a lean to tilt margin, which would be bad for Republicans. But that state I'm going to put at, I'm predicting it's going to be a lean margin for the Republicans here. The next state is going to be Kansas. Kansas is a state that Republicans actually do need to worry about because you have Chris Kobach, who is probably going to be the nominee here. And if he is the nominee, he already lost by 6 points with an independent to about 5% of the vote in the 2018 governor's race. Kansas has elected a lot of Democratic governors, and while state races are different from national elections, polls are starting to be close. And, polls don't show everything, but polls show that it is going to be a competitive race. And I do think that Chris Kobach is going to lose a lot of support with a lot of the things that he runs on. And I think that by November, he's going to win it by a lean margin. But again, this could get closer, it could get further apart. But as of now, I can predict that by November, it will be a lean margin. The next two states, for Republicans are already at 50 seats here. The next state I believe will be a lean margin is the state of Colorado. John Hickenlooper is probably going to be the nominee here. He is running against a Bernie bro. He did lose the caucus, but then there is the primary coming out of it. If he wins the primary, he'll probably beat Cory Gardner by a pretty substantial margin, 5 to 6 points maybe even, which would push it to a likely margin. But in the small chance that there is a Bernie bro running, although Colorado is a Bernie bro state, you do need to get the support of independents and right-leaning independents and moderate Republicans and moderate Democrats even. And so the Bernie bro might be able to do that, but I think they still will win by around 3 to 4 points even with that. But John Hickenlooper is obviously the better candidate if they want to win in this state, and so he will win by a likely margin is what I'm predicting, assuming it's John Hickenlooper. I'm going to say it's a likely margin for now. The next state I'm actually predicting is going to be a lean margin is a state of Arizona. Mark Kelly has been running a very good campaign here. He's actually been running pretty much even, or even you could argue to the right of where Kyrsten Sinema ran in 2018. But Mark Kelly is pretty progressive on guns. He's pretty left-wing on guns, which could hurt him in the state of Arizona because I think his wife was shot in the head or something. So I mean, I guess that makes you clearly more pro gun control, and so I think that in the state of Arizona, he will kind of end up running away with it towards the end because Martha McSally is not very popular. She already lost once, and I don't think she's going to be able to win. I think she'll lose again to Mark Kelly, and Joe Biden could even win the state. I predicted in my prediction yesterday, which you can check out in the cards, that Joe Biden will win the state of Arizona, and I believe that Mark Kelly will win by an even larger margin than Joe Biden, probably 3 to 4 points. Maybe not 4 points, but around 3 points, I think, is what Mark Kelly could win by. And then, so those are the lean states. The Republicans have already reached 50, so the presidential tiebreaker if they lose both of these other seats here. But I think as of now, that's all the lean states. Democrats have 3 lean states. Republicans also have 3 lean states. And so getting into these last 2 states here, we have the state of Maine and the state of North Carolina. I think that Maine will be a tilt margin towards the Democrats with Sarah Gideon as the candidate. Susan Collins is now the most unpopular senator in the country here. She voted for Kavanaugh. She voted against impeachment. People see her as very partisan now compared to what she was before. She was one of the most popular senators in the country. And so I think that she is going to lose, actually. I think she is going to lose by a tilt margin here to Sarah Gideon, who is a pretty good candidate, as good of a candidate that you could really ask for in the state of Maine. She is the Speaker of the House. She is a woman. She's middle-aged, which can bring a lot of suburban women. I mean, I don't know how many of those there are in Maine, but I think that they will be able to win the state. And Democrats win by a tilt margin, although I do think that as of now, what I'm predicting, because North Carolina polls are very good for Democrats early on, but I'm predicting that by November, Thom Tillis will be able to eke out a victory here. I'm being pretty optimistic for the Republicans and saying this because I do think that Donald Trump is going to get 2% more of the vote than Thom Tillis. I think that Donald Trump will win by just under 2 points at this point. Like, it's going to be very, very close, and so I think that Thom Tillis is barely going to win. It could be thousands of votes because Cal Cunningham is a good candidate here, and I think that he is going to give him a run for his money. And Thom Tillis is not very popular in this state, especially with a lot of Republicans compared to how popular Donald Trump is with the Republicans. And so I do think that Thom Tillis is going to narrowly win, but this could really go either way. At this point, I'm almost just going to put it in the toss-up just because it is so hard to predict. And so, yeah, this is the final map that I'm predicting for the month of May. I think I've moved Maine into the Democratic column. I'm not too sure of that exactly, but yeah. This is the current map, how I'm predicting November is going to be from the month of May. My battleground map, which shows the state of the race as of now. Maybe look a little different to you. That'll be coming out next week, but this is my map for now. Republicans 51, Democrats 49. Republicans would keep control, in the Senate. And yeah, thank you all for watching this video. Please like and subscribe as always. Follow me on Twitter, join the Discord, and I will see you guys later.